All right, guys, we know that as you spend time kind of in isolation, and we're just talking about some spiritual things that can really be struggles through a season like this. And so I wanted to ask Alexandra just to share maybe a thought about how scary it can be when you're this isolated and sin can creep up and you feel like, man, I don't really know how to deal with this when I'm so alone right now.
Yeah. So, man, a sin struggle or like just heart struggle of mine that I've walked through in my life is control. I love being in control or thinking that I'm in control. And so I started noticing, I got off to college and that was a stressful season. My life totally changed because here I am going off to college. I'm leaving home. I'm close with my family. So that was kind of hard. And it just was different. I'm living with a random new roommate and my world just felt a little out of my control. And I started noticing that I was turning to working out and healthy food as a way of controlling the situation, which in theory you would think is totally fine, right? I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy. And it wasn't until I was down that road quite a ways that I realized it was really a means of control for me that had gotten kind of out of hand. It wasn't helping me anymore of like staying active or eating right. It was something that I was controlling to the point of it was an issue. It was like what I was thinking about. And if I missed a workout on a day or didn't eat right, then it just led to this like spiral of guilt and shame that I would sit in. And I walked that road for a while until I started realizing it and started asking God to free me from it. But in this season that we're in, and I'm free from it now, but the season that we're in right now of being quarantined and alone and food being something that people are nervous about, or being all alone and workout gyms closing, or for you, whatever that looks like, your sports team has canceled all their stuff, or the thing you love you can't do anymore maybe. It's easy to get back into that headspace of, well, I just got to control everything. And man, that's when I realized like my wheels are off and I'm not relying on God anymore. I'm relying on me. Wow, and I'm the worst ruler. I'm the worst at being in control. I want God in control, but that's hard. And so that's something I'm already sensing in me kind of coming back up. And I'm having to fight that with truth from scripture and with telling people and asking them to hold me accountable on that. And just being really real that, God, I do want you in control and not me, especially now. And so help me not take that back on as a way that I'm controlling things. So that's one of the areas that I've had to navigate and I'm seeing kind of come back up a little. So what about for you? I'm curious.
Man, this, for me, no doubt. And it's kind of scary to talk about this in some ways because our sin is always scary to talk about. Yeah. And it's always hard to be somebody that is like leading people and is just like everybody that you lead, because all of us know what sin is in our lives. We know how hard it can be. And so for me as a student, I just remember isolation was so dangerous for me because of lust and pornography. And so I can remember in high school really struggling with that and not knowing like how to have any community, how to have any accountability. And it's almost like I loved the thought of being isolated and dreaded it because I knew what was coming. Yeah. And so maybe for some of you, that's a real struggle, is like when you get isolated, you know what's coming and it scares you. And so if you can relate with that, I just really want to encourage you to reach out to somebody that you can walk through this season and not be isolated, and let somebody continue to give you wisdom. Right. And it's different for every person. And so I don't know what the sin struggle is that could creep up in these moments of isolation, but I'd encourage you to be real about it, because I wasn't real about it. And so I remember one of my best friends through high school and church, we connected in college at some point, and I opened up to him and said, hey man, I've been dealing with this for the first time in my life and I struggle with it. And he said, I was too. And we both realized we had never talked about it in high school. Wow. And so I thank God I've had so many incredible mentors and wise people and opportunities to grow away from that in my life. But I know that no one is immune from sin. Yeah. And so I try to stay so real about it and share that I think it's so important for you to not run from your sin, but to really face it and realize what Jesus can do with your sin. If you will go straight to the cross and say, Jesus, I need you because I can't do anything with this sin, but I know you can. Yeah. And so freedom comes when we go to Jesus. And Jesus is the only one that brings freedom from sin. Yeah. So whatever that looks like for you to get to Jesus with your sin, we would love to walk you closer to Jesus, walk you straight up to the foot of the cross, so that sin isn't something that you look back on this time, this isolation, and you're like, man, that was one of the worst moments in my life because of how captive sin had me, you know. So we love you guys. We hope that you find freedom from sin in these moments of isolation, and whatever we can do to continue walking you closer to Jesus, don't do it alone.
Yes.
Please
Yeah.
let us come alongside you and love on you and encourage you. Proud of you guys. Love you.